Alright guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're here to do my top 12 board games of 2024. You guys know I love board games behind me, even though we don't do a lot of board game videos on this channel, and the main reason is because I'm already into so many things. And for board games, most of the time, you know, there's a lot of people out there who get to play hundreds and hundreds of board games and review them. And, you know, people out there do a really good job. So I usually avoid doing that for that reason, because I feel like a lot of you guys are probably going elsewhere for those types of videos. And I don't think I could add much new to that kind of flavor of board game reviews that are out there already. So instead, I kind of do something a little bit differently. Since I don't obviously have access to hundreds and hundreds of board games, I don't get sent to them for review or anything like that. What I do is a little bit different on how I create this list, and probably the way that you guys see most of the other top lists out there, so which makes this video a little unique to me and to this channel. So for me, when I want to go see what I want to purchase, obviously my board game shelves that you see behind me here, I have to get rid of games before I add new ones. I'm at full capacity. I have this whole shelf behind me full, a couple of spots open for these new board games that I've already sold a couple of them off, a couple of spots in the cabinet over there, and then a couple of spots in my closet for the big games that just don't fit on these shelves, that wouldn't fit regardless, like one of the ones on this list, for example. But for the most part, I have to get rid of stuff beforehand. So for me, what I do is I go and actually watch all those channels, like the Dice Tower and stuff like that, and watch all of their reviews throughout the year. And I write down games that I'm interested in and want to remember. And then as the end of the year gets closer, I basically re-look at all the ones that I wrote down, re-watch the videos if I need to see which ones that are really interesting to me, that kind of are unique to the collection. And then I sit down and I look at all of my games that I currently have, see which ones I may want to get rid of, how many I would want to get rid of, and which ones I'm just not playing enough of, or with a gaming group. And then those I get rid of, and then I make a top 10 or 12 top games that I actually want to purchase for the year that are my favorite, and then that's how this list is kind of produced. So I wanted to let you guys know up front, because obviously, you know, no secret here, I'm not playing hundreds of board games throughout the year like everyone else, but I do watch hundreds and hundreds of videos on board games throughout the year. And like I said, write down the games that I actually find really interesting to my collection and to my gaming group, and then come back at the end of the year and buy all those like I did in the last couple months. So after buying all them and playing these board games now I can say that these are as good as I hoped they would be. All these 12 games that I'm about to talk to you guys about have been played at least once, and I'm having a great time with them. So I wanted to, you know, showcase them, and obviously from 12 to 1, show you guys which one made my number one and which ones I think you guys should, you know, play. So these are my favorite games that came out this year. So let's go ahead and get into the video.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a brekkie is the gaming tech. Gaming tech is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
Something else, guys, that I forgot to mention after that intro there, just so you guys know who maybe have not watched my board game wrap-up videos before in previous years, is that I kind of lean a little bit towards medium weight games to lightweight games to party games, to in that kind of zone. Sometimes or another I squeeze in like a medium heavy game, but I very rarely go to heavy, and that's not because I wouldn't play a heavy game, but it's because you got to keep in mind, like, you know, the gaming groups that I have. I have a group of friends that I play with, and then I also have family members that I play with and stuff, so it'd be hard to get a heavy game to the table, so I usually lean away from them. A lot of my games here I would consider medium weight and below. Again, with the exception of maybe once or twice me diving into a game that I just really, really love everything about it, and it might be medium heavy and I go to it. But I can't remember the last heavy game I bought. So I just want to let you guys know that that's kind of what you're going to expect on this list. But there's still some really good stuff in here that, you know, really, really, you know, stood out for this year. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into number 12. Coming in at number 12 is going to be Flip 7. So this is a really simple card game that plays up to, how many people does this play? I kind of forgot already. 3+ players. You can play an infinite amount of players technically, as long as the card is, you know, as long as the table allows for it, you can play it. There's no actual restriction, because basically what happens is that you're gonna flip cards around the table one at a time. Everyone gets a card around the table, and then you go ahead and everyone goes around and decides if they want to flip another card. It's kind of pushing your luck. And the goal is to get as many points as possible. The base value of the card is what you actually get. So if it's a 7, that's how many points you get. And then you're asking, hey, do you want to flip another card? Yes. Do you want to flip another card? Yes. Until you actually stop. When you stop, you bank all those points that you actually collected. Now, if you can flip over 7 cards without hitting a numerical number that's already in the line that you just came out with, then you get an extra 15 bonus points. But if while you're hitting for cards, any of those numbers match, so if you get another 7 after another 7 came out previously in your turn there, then you lose all the points that you banked and stuff like that. So it's a very simple game about push your luck, but it's also because it's a very simple game that you can play, you know, before the real game of the night, for example. You know, the starter game, if you will. And it is really fun for that reason. It's really obviously easy to teach because it just takes 2 minutes to teach. I taught this and played this over the last weekend. And there's a couple of specialty cards in the game as well, like freeze, where it makes you freeze, or second chance, where you can get a second chance even though you hit the same number. You know, things like that kind of spice up the gameplay. But other than that, it's a really simple game that a lot of people enjoy playing. We all had a blast with this one. And like I said, it's a very easy game to kind of play before the real game of the night. And, you know, you can never have too many of those. You're always looking for our starter game of the night. And this one is really fun, and it plays an infinite amount of people, which is awesome. So, Flip 7 coming in at number 12. The next one on this list coming in at number 11 is going to be called Catastrophe. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of other people definitely don't have this game on their list because it's a very unique game and not a lot of people know about it. But, you know, this is a really cool game, especially if you're a fan of cats. So if you guys are familiar with games like Exploding Kittens and stuff, that kind of is reminiscent of that in a little, in a way. Basically, this game plays 2 to 6 players, and it's definitely more of a party game. You have a board in front of you, which is a little bit different, and you're trying to go up and down the board, and you have 9 lives, and basically you're trying to eliminate your opponent's 9 lives as their cats, and you're trying to play these different cards on them to eliminate their lives. Like I said, it's a little bit like Exploding Kittens in that way, where you're playing cards on people, trying to eliminate them and kind of knock their 9 lives out and using the special ability of the cards. But what sets this game apart that I really liked about it and why I got it, and what makes it more of a party game in my opinion, is that there is 104 mini games that you can actually play throughout this game, which I think is really cool. The game plays in 30 to 45 minutes, and you play all these different wacky mini games that it talks about, you know, that you'll play at the end of each turn. So after you play your cards, you play a mini game. It's kind of a little bit like Mario Party in that kind of sense too. So it's a really, really cool game. It's super fun. And if you guys are into cats and you're into Exploding Kittens and card games like that, and you like these card games that sometimes let you play mini games at the end of them, like dice mini games and all these wacky mini games that they throw at you, this is really, really cool. It's one of my favorite party games of the year, obviously, and it can play up to 6 players. So Catastrophe coming in at number 11. The next one here coming in at number 10 is called The Gang. And this one I have seen on a lot of other players' top 10 lists of all the people that I watch here on YouTube, because of course I follow a lot of people out there, not just the Dice Tower, who do board game reviews and board game top lists and all that kinds of stuff. And this is on a few of them. And this game is awesome. I'm a huge fan of poker, and this game is 3 to 6 players, can play in 20 minutes. And basically, if you guys have played games like The Crew and stuff like that, where it's a cooperative game, that one being trick taking, this is the exact same type of game, but instead for poker. So basically, you're dealt a hand of cards, and everyone's trying to play poker and stuff like that, and you're trying to deduce what hands everyone has in their hand by using poker logic, and you know, make the people who have the lesser hand go first and stuff like that in order, and following these missions. There's I believe over, I forget how many missions are in the game, like over 60 I believe, that you can kind of explore, and they have you do different things depending on what you're doing, the same way The Crew did, but is in The Gang here as well. So if you're a poker fan and you like The Crew originally for trick taking, but you're also a fan of poker, The Gang is super, super cool and a great cooperative poker game. I mean, we've never had a cooperative poker game before that I know of, and it is really fun and really cool, and it plays 6 players as well, and it's a quick game that plays in 20 minutes. The Gang coming in at number 10. The next one on this list coming in at number 9 is going to be Comic Hunters. Now, of course, as somebody who's a huge Marvel fan and comics and stuff like that, when I heard about this game, I obviously immediately got interested. This game is all about comic books, and you can see, you know, comic books there on the front, the comic book nature and stuff like that. It plays 1 to 4 players in 60 minutes, and basically you're trying to collect comic books. You're trying to get the rarest issues, more rare issues than the other 3 players at the table. It is super, super fun, super colorful. Each of the comic book cards in the game, you know, actually shows really cool comic book art and stuff like that that's specifically designed for this game, which is super cool. And I love the fact that the comic book cards here are actually themed to, you know, heroes that we know, like the Amazing Spider-Man and the Hulk and stuff like that, and Doctor Strange. You know, and you actually see these comic book issues that you kind of maybe remember, and you know, you get to, you know, collect them and build your collection of comic books, trying to get that rare issue. It's super, super fun. If you guys are fans of comic books, collecting set collection type games and things like that, this is super fun and a very unique theme that I haven't seen before, which is why I added it to the collection, because as somebody who loves comics and loves, you know, these types of games and stuff like that, and people, most of the people that play games with me, all my friends and stuff, also love comics. So this screen kind of reaches out to us. So this is an awesome addition to the collection. Comic Hunters coming in at number 9. The next one here coming in at number 8 is going to be Bomb Busters. This is another game here that is a cooperative game, just like the game that we were talking about before. This one here plays, how many people does this one play? This is for 2 to 5 players and takes 20 to 40 minutes. And this one is super cool because it's about bomb defusal, and obviously that lends itself to being a great cooperative game. And basically what happens is everyone has these rows of wires in front of them that they're all different colors, and you're trying to deduce who has what color. And so you can knock down your wire. So basically you call out on someone else and you say, hey, I think that one's a red wire. And then if you end up being correct and you point to the right one, then you could both remove well, actually red you can't remove. But if it was blue or yellow, you can do that and then remove wires. Red you actually can't remove unless if it's the last one that you're actually removing from your tableau. And you're going back and forth trying to deduce what colors everyone has, trying to cut these wires while defusing the bomb. There's special cards on the top that, you know, will give you more information as you're doing it and making you have these unique abilities. It's super awesome. Again, and this one has 66 missions, so each mission as you play throughout the game will change it up. Sometimes you'll be playing the standard game if you want to, and you can play the standard game over and over again once you get past tutorial mission 8. That's kind of where the tutorial ends. And then they add other things like, you know, time limits, and I'm not going to spoil them for you, but like time limits and other things to change up the gameplay that you're not playing in the standard mode. But this is super fun. Obviously, the theme fits perfectly for a cooperative game like this, and I think it's awesome. And I don't have any bomb defusal type games in my collection for board games, and this one is fantastic. If you're into cooperative games, like I was talking about before, and you want to, you know, to have some deduction that you have to do in that cooperative game, Bomb Busters is fantastic. It's one of my favorite deduction games in a while. It's super, super fun. Bomb Busters coming in at number 8. The next one here coming in at number 7 is Harmonies. Now, this has been a really popular game this year that a lot of other people have been talking about, and I also really, really like this game. First of all, the art on the cards on here are fantastic, and the game plays 1 to 4 players in 30 minutes. And basically what it is you have a board in front of you and you have all these little circle cubes that you're playing, and you basically have these cards in front of you and you're collecting these cards and basically trying to complete the cards. You can see some of the cards there will tell you to build a certain structure on your little map area in front of you that you're using. And then as you collect those pieces and you lay them out on the map, you try to collect those cards and match it to bring that animal onto you. So it is really fun. You combine the landscape cards that you see up front, and then you get those animals to basically score as many points as possible. Each of those cards, sometimes you get to, you know, score points, and you can actually do the cards multiple times. If you do it on the map in another area and stuff like that, you can use it again and get those points twice. So I think what sets this game apart, a lot of people compare it to Cascadia. I've never actually played that game and I've never owned it, so I can't really speak to that. But if you guys are familiar with Cascadia and stuff like that, it's very reminiscent of that from what I hear, but a more simple version of what that game was. So it gets to the table a lot easier. And the art is much better. The art on this one is fantastic with the card art, with the animals and stuff like that. It's, like I said, it's really easy to teach and really easy to play. Great 4-player game. And, you know, a great tactical game, you know, to add to my collection. Harmonies coming in at number 7. The next one here coming in at number 6 is Video Game Champion. Oh man, this game is fantastic. Just look at the cover art right off the bat. Obviously, you guys know we love video games on this channel. I love video games. I grew up in the 90s. I have a gigantic 90s collection that I've shown on this channel before. And this game felt like it was made just for me. This game plays 2 to 5 players. 50 to 90 minutes, and basically it's exactly what I just said. You are a kid in the 90s, and you're basically trying to play as many video games as possible to score points. You're playing these 16-bit video games, and all these video games are, you know, the artwork on the cards and stuff like that are reminiscent to remind you of certain games from back in the 16-bit era that, you know, you might remember from like Mario and Sonic and stuff like that, that don't use those actual, you know, properties, but they, go around it and you can kind of tell that card is representing something and stuff like that, which is super awesome. And you're basically, being a kid in the 90s and you're trying to sometimes ask, you're trying to basically make money. You need to study for school. You need to rent video games, buying strategy guides for your games, and then coming home and sometimes having to beg your parents to buy you these video games. And it's really, really fun to be able to play a game like this and seeing all the different art and stuff like that on the cards that are kind of reminiscent of video games. It's a fantastic game. It feels like it was made just for me. 90s kid, 16-bit era, going through the board, collecting these strategy guides, these video games and stuff like that. Love the cover art. This is definitely going to be one that's going to be displayed on one of my front ones and probably will be for at least the rest of next year. What a fantastic game to play with your friends. If you guys are anywhere near, somebody who loves video games, this is my favorite video game inspired board game I've ever played. It's amazing. Video game champion coming in at number 6. The next one here coming in at number 5 is going to be Explorers of Navoria, and this is definitely a hot one that has been on a lot of people's lists. This is probably the one that I talked about so far. That's probably on most lists that I've seen out there for this year. Most of my other ones are a little bit more unique to me for the most part. And this one is fantastic. This plays 2 to 4 players, 20 minutes per player on this one. And basically, first of all, I got the collector's edition of this one, which is awesome. I even got the actual map and stuff like that, and all the deluxe components. But man, is this game beautiful. It's so colorful and great to look at. And basically, you have Navoria is a land that you have. It's like a magical land, and you basically have all these cards on the side, and you're using your chips to place on these cards to what cards you actually want to collect and what you need to do depending on what you're actually trying to do with different abilities that those cards have. And after you all put them out there, then you're going to go ahead and take those actions and do worker placement style. After taking those cards and putting your pieces on it and you selected the cards, now you're going to do a worker placement type game on the map itself where you're using the cards' abilities to place your cubes or your circles, which is essentially your workers, out onto the board and taking those different actions around the board that you actually want to take. And you're obviously trying to collect the points that and set the stage to be the best explorer of Navoria, as the board game likes to say. Man, the artwork on the cards has a whimsical and just magical flavor to it. I'm a sucker for games that have really good art like this. Really unique game. I don't have any other game that looks like this. Even though it's not necessarily doing anything particularly new in worker placement and card selection and card action selection, it is amazing. Amazing. And don't mind that horn. That's because the Devils are playing and they just scored, so that's fantastic. But man, what a great freaking game. 2 to 4 players, worker placement style cards action selection type game. The artwork is what really sets this one apart, at least for me, because I don't have anything else like this, and it all ties together. It's really easy to play, really easy to teach. I love this one. Explorers of Navoria coming in at number 5. The next one here coming in at number 4 is Let's Go Japan. Another one that's really hot out there and a lot of people's lists. And man, I also am on board of loving this game. This is for 1 to 5 players, plays in 45 minutes. And as somebody who has Japan on their list of places that I actually want to visit, this game is right up my alley, because basically Let's Go to Japan is you planning your week of going to Japan. So you actually collect cards and you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in front of you, and you're trying to basically plan your week and try to fit all these different events and these different cards throughout your week to visit all these different things. And the cards actually represent exactly what people do when they go to Japan. So for somebody who wants to go to Japan, these cards are actually teaching me on what I may want to see when I get out there to Japan. They have a lot of flavor text on them and stuff like that. It's really easy to play, really cool that, like, you always, even if you can't fit things on certain days, you can always go for a walk and use that card in a different way. The artwork is fantastic on here. It really feels like I'm going through Japan and planning my day. If you ever felt the stress of planning a trip like I do, because you guys probably know, I am somebody who is a travel agent for Disney and, cruises and stuff like that. So reach out if you guys want to support the channel. And I know what it's like to plan some of those vacations, and this game kind of brings a little bit of that stress there to try and fit everything throughout the week. That's what makes it fun, and that's exactly what planning a trip is like. And man, this game is freaking awesome. This is another one that I got the deluxe edition for, so I have all the wooden components. It even came with some ceramic bowls that are sitting back there. I can see like what a lot of other people are saying. I can guarantee it's probably going to happen. Let's Go Japan is probably not going to be the only game of this. I guarantee you that they're going to do other countries in the years to come. Let's Go, you know, whatever, insert country here or state or whatever they're going to do, because obviously they have a system that's going to work for that type of stuff. And we'll see if they add new mechanics to those. Those can be really fun as well. Let's Go Japan coming in at number 4. The next one here coming in at number 3 is the biggest box that we have in today's video, or actually not the biggest box, but one of, is Joyride Turbo Edition. So this Joyride game here, I'm gonna go ahead and put it down because this is very heavy. The Turbo Edition, and why the box is so huge here, is because it has every single expansion that they had in the Kickstarter when this came out. The Turbo Edition is still available on their website. There wasn't that many left the last time I looked. I don't know if it's still there from Rebellion. But Joyride is basically if you would say that, you know, I have the game The Heat that came out last year that a lot of people love. That was straight up racing on the actual track and stuff like that. It was just straight up racing. It wasn't like anything wacky or anything in that game. That's one end of the spectrum. And then on the other end, you have Thunder Road, which I also have as well. And that kind of sits on this side of the equation, where you're not really racing. You're just going through a street or a road, and you're just trying to smash each other and try to kill each other off the road using all these special abilities. Joyride, I would think, sits right in the middle of both of those. I would say Joyride is the one that you are still doing a race. You're actually doing laps and stuff like that, but you actually are doing Mario Kart style ability. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, if you want to say it like that. Where you actually get to still race in a track and actually be the one to cross the finish line, but you get to use all these power-ups and all these different things a la Mario Kart, like throwing missiles at each other and setting all these traps and stuff to drive me the one that crosses that finish line first. Obviously, this being the Turbo Edition, there's a ton of expansions, a ton of different tracks on here for me to get through. I can't wait to play this game more. I've only played this game a couple times, but it is super fun. Amazing game. If you're a racing fan and you like those two that I just talked about and you want something more in the middle that gives you the racing feel, but also a little bit more Mario Kart in the middle, this is kind of the one that sits in the middle of both of those, and it is amazing. And the presentation on this box is also really cool as well, with the way that everything's stored in there. Like the box inside is open, like all your cars that you have in the game. It has like a garage area where they're all laid out and easy to play with. It's just super cool. Joyride Turbo coming in at number 3. The next one here coming in at number 2 is Spark Ride 3000, or Spark Riders 3000, I should say. And I was super excited when I got this game. This is another one that I sprung for a couple. I got the expansion with this one and a couple of other things. I also got the playmat for this one as well. This is for 1 to 4 players, plays in 60 minutes. And does use an app. I know a lot of people, some people out there don't like when, you know, board games use apps and stuff like that. I don't mind it if it's super fun and actually enhances the gameplay. And this is probably the best board game I've played that uses an app in a very long time. Basically what this is you are cooperatively trying to survive a spaceship. You have a spaceship in front of you and you have the 4 of you basically going around and trying to complete the mission. And, you know, obviously handling aliens coming at you that may be attacking you, you know, parts of the ship are breaking down. You have to get to the guns to shoot enemy ships away. And the app handles all of it, and it makes the story really fun. And the story is like whimsical and funny. It doesn't take itself too seriously. The instructions are really easy to understand. You know, it's just a really fun game, really fun cooperative game. It's obviously my favorite cooperative game of the year. Actually, that's not true. Stay tuned to number 1. But regardless, it's really good. I love board game apps that actually take advantage of being an app and do a lot of cool things. They have so many different variety of missions to do in this game. I love the fact that you're on a spaceship and you're all moving around the spaceship doing different tasks and handling different things, handling aliens, handling, you know, killing things and trying to complete the mission. And some people are at the ship steering it and stuff like that. It's just a fantastic time. The artwork is really whimsical, and love the artwork on here as well, as you guys are looking at. It's a really fantastic game. Obviously, it being one of almost my favorite game of the year. It was almost going to be until this first one showed up that we're about to talk about. But this game is super fun. Don't let the board game app steer you away because there hasn't been any game like this that I've ever played with an app that integrates this well. Story's super fun, and the cooperative nature of it is also fun as well. Spark Riders 3000 coming in at number 2. And the last one here coming in at number 1, I couldn't even hide the box because it's so big, but it's over here on the floor. It is Freedom 5, this gigantic box here. I got all the different, I got the main box and the main 2 expansions to this game as well. The only thing I'm still looking out for is the actual playmat to this game. But man, this game is super fun. If you guys remember Sentinel of the Multiverse, this is like a spin-off of Marvel characters and stuff that they made like a card game back in the day and stuff like that. Well, this is, instead of the card game, now a board game using those same exact characters. And the art on this is my favorite art in a board game in a while. Obviously has that comic book flair, but I just love all the characters in the game that you could be. They're all unique with their own powers and stuff. This is a cooperative game. I believe it's 1 to 5 players. I don't think the side of this box is going to tell me, unfortunately. Maybe it says it on the bottom. Yeah, 1 to 5 players. Plays in 60 missions. Has a variety of different missions. Think about things like Marvel Zombicide and stuff like that, where they give you like a pamphlet of all these different missions that you can either play single or in a campaign. That's kind of how this game is like. You have a bunch of comic books in front of you and you can pick a mission, or you can do them all in order in a story mode. What's really cool about this game that I haven't seen in a lot of other games is that it's not a legacy game, but there are a bunch of things hidden in envelopes, and it tells you when to open for your characters. Like maybe the first time that you use that character, you get to open an envelope and unlock different equipment and stuff like that for your next game, or whatever the case. Maybe I haven't opened all the envelopes, so I don't know what else is there. I just know about that one. But the variety of all the different characters that I have that you can be, that all kind of represent different heroes, and kind of, even though they're not called like different things, you know, there's like a Captain America on here, but it's just not called him, and ripoffs of stuff like that, and using those Sentinel from the Multiverse characters that they've made before, putting it in a board game. The art is fantastic on the actual board game themselves, and it's a cooperative game where you're trying to take the baddie down, trying to kill the villain, not let him succeed with his plan, and taking over the city. You're going around cooperatively, going around the city, you know, fighting henchmen and villains and attacking him. And you know, what's really also cool is that you can be your human side. When you start your turn, you can be the human version of your guy, and then when you take those actions, there's only certain actions you can take in that mode. Then you flip over the card, and then you're actually a hero, and then you can take certain abilities and actions with that. So much variety in this box, obviously being huge in here with the expansion and the main thing of this, but all the different characters all playing differently, all the different missions and variety in the scenarios that are in here. I'm going to be playing this for a long time. Obviously, this box does not fit in one of these. Well, I guess it could if you just took all the board games out. This does fit in one of these Kallax shelves, but it would take up the whole entire thing. So this is one of the games that is unfortunately gonna be in my closet, like I talked about before, for these big games, because this one is just way too big otherwise. But man, what a fantastic game. Well, what a fantastic year for board games. I mean, obviously, I don't have the world's largest house for board games, and I got to pick and choose what I actually want to bring in here or not. And these are my top 12 games, guys, that I hope you guys enjoyed. There's obviously a ton of other board games that came out that were great that I just decided not to purchase because of either personal preferences or having similar games that already do similar things this year, you know, and all that kind of stuff. But hey, maybe I didn't watch the review. Maybe I didn't know about a game that came out this year that maybe you guys know about. So I'd love to hear what your favorite board games of the year are. Leave those comments down below. Let me know. Maybe there's stuff based on what you guys saw me show here today that I told you I love medium to lightweight, and kind of rumble around those for my gaming group. Maybe there's stuff I missed that you guys think I should definitely check out that came out this year, and definitely let me know about them. I'd love to check all this stuff out. But these are my favorite top 12 games. Board games are a fantastic way to play with friends. We have board game nights here like once a month. I wish we could have more, but man, what a great time to be a board game fan. There's so many great games that came out this year, not just the 12 I mentioned, but hundreds and hundreds of others that people love out there that I didn't even talk about today, depending on what your tastes are, like, you know, on what you're actually looking for. So yeah, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the list. And as always, guys, thank you guys for watching. Until next time.